long story short, I get hired by a hockey team, a professional hockey team, the Winnipeg Jets, which I'm sure you've heard of because now they are your hometown Phoenix Coyotes. And for about 7-8 years, I was the PR director for the Coyotes. But eventually I moved over to become the PR director for the owner of the Coyotes and represent his real estate interest, a guy named Steve Ellman. Ellman you may have heard of. He built Westgate City Center, he built the arena, several other developments around the valley. I worked for about 10 years as Ellman's PR guy. So I was his spokesperson, I was on TV all the time doing that, I was writing press releases, I was handling all the media, doing all of the public relations and marketing activities for Ellman companies. The interesting thing about this real estate company that I work for, if you know commercial real estate at all, it's really a white-collar, button-up, real stoic kind of industry. So you don't run across a lot of people that have real flamboyant, out-there kind of personalities. So it was always a little bit for me like fitting a square peg in a round hole. Does that make sense? It just didn't really suit me. But again, I did this for a long time. It was a great job, a great career, and I really enjoyed the work I was doing. So sometimes you stifle your own personality a bit to do that. Well, what happened was eventually people started to look at me, they'd come up to me, they'd be like, "You're the Westgate guy, I know that." Well, what happened eventually was I lost my own personal identity. You know, like I said, that guy, that extroverted, fun guy that's been around since 7-8 years old. Now I had to kind of keep that in check a little bit, be more of the white-collar, button-up kind of guy. And I think some of you guys know me. I think most of you guys have probably seen me on Twitter or something like that. It's not really my personality to be like Mr. Button-up, white-collar, suit and tie kind of thing. So now, all of a sudden, I wake up one day and I'm not working with Ellman Companies anymore. I decide I'm going to strike out on my own and do my own PR thing. But I realize now, I've got a pre-existing brand. People think of me and they think, there's the button-down Westgate guy. There's Mr. Professional, there's Mr. Conservative. And that was the last thing in the world that I wanted to brand myself when I started to talk about my personal brand. So sometimes what you realize is that your personal brand is something that you have to really work on yourself. You have to work at it all the time, you have to work at it hard, you have to work at it every day. Every day. Because otherwise what will happen is, if you let it get too far away and you let it get too far down the road, your personal brand is given to you. Much like what happened to me, much like what happened to my Nana. So you have to ask yourself at this point now, when you're creating your personal brand, what do you want your brand to be? What do you want people saying about you? What do you want them talking about? Do you want them to think you're funny? Do you want them to think you're smart? Do you want them to think you're the hardest worker in the group? Do you want them to think that you're a great writer, that you're thoughtful, that you're pensive? Otherwise, if you don't make every effort to promote these things every day and really get that out there every day and kind of spread that, other people will start to say things about you, and then you're playing defense as opposed to playing offense with regards to your personal brand. Now, the most important thing to keep in mind as you do this is that you have to figure out where you want to be, where you want to go, and figure out the roadmap for how to get there. Okay? Nobody knows you better than you know yourself. Nobody knows what you want to be and how you want to position yourself any better than you do. So think to yourself now, in your day-to-day travels, in your day-to-day meetings, in your day-to-day correspondence or Twitter or social media activities, how do you want to present that? Do you want to be funny? Do you want to be hardworking? Do you want to be all work all the time? It's something certainly to think about as you move forward. Me personally, I kind of take a different balance. I want people to think I'm creative. I want people to think I'm outside the box. So when you look at the types of things that I do to brand myself that way, whether it's on social media, whether it's through my interactions with people that I deal with on a regular basis, it's really something that I strive every bit to promote. Hey, I'm clever, I'm outside the box, I'm a little bit edgy, I'm a little bit funny, but I'm really good at what I do, I'm really good at building relationships, I'm a great writer, and I really try and do everything that I can to position myself that way. So there's different techniques, and I'm not going to go too deep into the techniques today. I really want to focus on the fact that it's all in your hands. It's all in your hands. You guys are all great